Hello friends, it's Jeff here and welcome to my corner and welcome to another Quick Tip Tuesday. Recently I was airbrushing an armor piece and time again my airbrush kept clogging up. I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't think it was my airbrush's problem because it is fairly new and it never gave me any issues. But it kept doing it at least 3 times, so cleaned it 3 times, and but still it gave me problems. So I mentioned this to a friend and he said, why don't you strain the paint before you put it in your airbrush? And I heard about this trick before, but I never paid much attention to it. But it makes sense in a way. Now, you don't have to do that with new paint because I used like all kinds of brands, and when they're new, there really aren't not many issues. So I never had an issue with new paint of Tamiya, Vallejo, AK, MIG. But when you keep using the paint over a time period of months and constantly opening and closing the bottle or the paint can, then you might run into some issues. So let's have a look, because I honestly did this. I strained the paint and I could see that the paint that I've been using for several months now, I could see that there were like tiny little particles of paint that were caught by a strainer, and preferably to use as a strainer is a coffee filter. So let me show you real quick how you go about and how you can avoid at least some of the airbrushing problems when your airbrush keeps clogging up, because the smallest paint particle or pigment that gets stuck into your nozzle of your airbrush will cause problems. So let me show you how I went about. So the best thing to do this, if you have these cups available or anything you find around the house that you don't really have to use anymore. And then of course, a coffee filter like this, doesn't matter, just a regular cheap coffee filter. And now it is way too big, so the best thing is to maybe cut a piece off, like we're doing here. Just cut most of it off. And then just put it over the cup. So as far as paint, I have some pre-mixed Tamiya paint in here that I've been using. And again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you don't really have to do it with new bottles, with new paint cans. There is no need for. But if you already had pre-mixed paint that you stored away for a couple of days, weeks, months, then it's best to maybe put it into a strainer. It's not a must, but if you want to avoid or prevent of your airbrush clogging up, then it might be a good way to go. So again, we have this little cup here. We put the coffee filter on top of it, and then we'll pour some paint on it. Now it might take a while, depending the paint you use and the thickness of the paint. It might take a couple of minutes before everything is filtered through. So let's see what happens, and then we'll be back. So we're back. It's about 5-10 minutes after I pour the paint through the strainer. It's not completely done yet, but I can already see immediately that there are several paint particles, some paint residue that is already stuck in the strainer. That it's I don't know if you can see it here. Let me hold it to the light a little bit, but it's definitely I can tell that might have become an issue once you blow it through your airbrush. So it is advisable, I would say, if you don't want to run into any risks, or especially if you may be dealing with lacquer paints, that you run it through a strainer just to catch some of it, because nothing is more annoying, and I can tell you this out of experience, nothing is more annoying when you're halfway or ready to airbrush, and the first thing you do is run into an issue with your airbrush that has been clogging over and over again. So it works. It is proven that there is a big possibility, if you're dealing with some older paint, that there might be paint particles floating around, or maybe paint that is dried, or little flakes that fell from the top every time you open the cap. But it is definitely there. It is definitely present. Let me show you this again. You can easily see that there is a lot of like dust floating on top. So that was it, guys. I hope I was able to shed a little light on airbrushing issues. So hope you like it. Please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, of course, and please don't forget to like and share us on Facebook. And visit our website at www.jeffycornerstore.com for all your future modeling purchases. Well, I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I hope you and your family are staying safe and well. And I'll see you guys next week in another Quick Tip Tuesday, or of course, definitely on Sunday at 7 o'clock Central Time for another Facebook update, live update. But for now, I wish you all an enjoyable rest of the day. Jeffy here, signing off.